Got Nintendo drop their Nintendo Direct today. After getting off of Summer Game Fest, we often wonder, what does Nintendo have? And well, we kind of got the lay of the land for this year, a little bit for next year. What's your overall thoughts of the Nintendo Direct?
Well, there's a few question marks there, but I feel like Nintendo basically delivered on all promises. We did get a bit of a warning in advance that this will not feature the Nintendo Switch 2, the successor to the Switch. So getting that out of the way, I'm quite satisfied with what we saw.
Yeah, for me, it's more Nintendo, right? If you're in on the Nintendo ecosystem, I think this is a great show. I think this is a great Direct. For me, it's just like there are certain parts I've able to pick out, which often I've had in the past where I don't want to pick out anything. So it was nice to be pleasantly surprised coming out of the Direct. But there were a couple times I was like, nope, that was not for me. That was not for me. There's a lot of that. It was not for me. But Mario Luigi Brothership coming on November 7th, dude. That looked cool. I'm like, they started off with a bang. Honestly, they really started off well. I thought, new art direction here. Looks like there's a bit of a co-op component going on too between Luigi and Mario, which I thought was a nice addition. It looks charming. It's pleasant looking, right? It's just got that Nintendo charm. What do you think?
I think that's very accurate, actually. That's pretty much how I would summarize that. Nintendo charm. I've been out of the Mario and the Luigi games for quite some time, but I do like my return to some of the old classics.
They keep it going, right?
I think Luigi needs a little bit more time in the spotlight, too. He's got a lot of years to make up for.
He certainly does. Another one that caught my eye was Mio Memories of Orbit, which isn't until 2025. But the minute it started, dude, I was like, whoa, what do we have here? This looks cool, looks charming. It reminded me a little bit of Ori. If you played Ori in the Blind Forest or Ori Will and the Wisps, it had that charm, that difficulty charm by the looks of it too, if you saw that. What do you think?
Oh, the visuals of it caught my eye immediately, and I saw that Ori connection, which reminds me I still have yet to play those games, which is a mark of shame at this point, honestly.
That's fair. It's definitely one of those, your backlog continues to grow, right? So look forward to this one in 2025. And then a nice little pleasant surprise, but a bit of a question mark came to my head when it came to the announcement of Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. So we're getting the original, Scott, brought over to the Switch, coming on January 16th, 2025. A little puzzled by that one. Are you?
Yeah, at first when we saw Kong come up, I thought, okay, finally, we're going to get a new Donkey Kong. It's been so long since Tropical Freeze. Could this be Tropical Freeze 2? At this point, that's almost irrelevant. I just want more. Yeah. But this is, I think, kind of a way of Nintendo tiding you off. Hey, don't forget, we remember Donkey Kong. We're not going to see him new for a while, but here's something to kind of tide you over till dinner.
Well, it's odd to think that we're not getting a new one. So, with 80 levels, we'll be obviously busy. They got some of the other classic levels coming back in it too, and the game looks great. I'll be jumping back in because I'm such a Donkey Kong fan, but I question, where is Tropical Freeze 2? Or where is the next iteration of Donkey Kong? Do they hold off for Switch 2? Is that what we're waiting for, you think?
I think that's what's happening, and I think this is kind of to test the water and judge the kind of fan response. Yeah. Because I don't know if you were paying attention, but the constant live chat just blew up as soon as Donkey Kong was mentioned. I think there's a strong reaction.
Yeah, I think we've all been looking forward to a new Donkey Kong game, and it's just been not coming anytime soon, and it's still not, because we're getting the remake of the original, which is charming, but I kind of feel like we're getting the Konami move with Metal Gear Solid. Do they remake 2 and 3? Like, how far do they go down the line now with Donkey Kong? Or do we just wait for Switch 2, and then that's when we get the next Donkey Kong game? Time will tell. Scott, what did you think of this one? The Legend of Zelda, Echoes of Wisdom. What are your thoughts?
Well, immediately I could recognize the landscape, the kind of look to the game, and I thought, okay, we're getting an HD remake of A Link to the Past.
Yeah.
And although that's not exactly true, I think that is quite mostly true, because I think this is a game they found a way to reuse that map, reuse that game in certain ways to make it fresh, because they've changed it this time around. Echoes of Wisdom puts you in the shoes of Zelda, and I don't believe we've ever played a Zelda ever before. I'm thinking maybe back into that Hyrule Warriors game. Perhaps we played Zelda there,
Yeah,
but I
we
don't
did.
think this is going to borrow or pull from that at all. I think this is its own thing. But looking at it visually, it kind of reminded me of Link's Awakening, which is a game that I loved on Switch.
Mm.
So I'm really happy to jump through A Link to the Past in whatever kind of form they're presenting it in this time around. And did you notice Nintendo can't get away from that kind of creative, constructive kind of mechanics, eh?
Yeah. No, it reminds me a lot of Dragon Quest Builders or a little bit of Animal Crossing in the fact that you can form these echoes, which basically creates a new image of an item. So in this instance, they had a table. So they copied the table and then just made another copy of it. And then it actually went into like platforming mechanics and you can build stuff and you can, yeah, it just had that. Like, all right, like we're getting a little mix of this and that in here, and we'll see how well it plays out on September 26th. Dude, September's heating up already,
Yeah.
right? It makes me a little nervous for September when that comes around, but yeah, we're curious. It looked charming. We'll see how it pans out, right? It's definitely a different change in from what we're used to when it comes to Zelda. The art style, pleasant, but man, where do we get that next real push? I think is the next one. And then they said, we have one more thing. And this is what they ended the show on. Scott, do you want to end it there, or do we go into the other ones first? Let's go with the other ones first, and then we'll get what they ended on. Let's do that.
We should circle back around to this one.
Let's circle back. Okay, so they came with the online classics, and this was... All right, we got A Link to the Past 4 Swords, so another Zelda game. The old school coming over to the online classics. Metroid Zero Mission, right? Are you excited for either of these?
I do. I really enjoyed Metroid Zero Mission when I played through it. I believe it was a free unlock, though, in Metroid Fusion on the Game Boy Advance. So I kind of got it for free and played it way back when. But that was 20 years ago, mind you. But also 20 years ago was A Link to the Past 4 Sword. So I'm seeing that repackaged, but with online. That's exactly what a game needed at the time, 20 years ago. It just didn't exist.
Sure.
So it's really interesting for me to see that. The only negative that I have to loop in there is that I'm not a fan of the classics online expansion portion, whatever that's called. I've not been very enthused by that just because I'm not a Nintendo ecosystem person.
No, for sure, right? I'm not really in the online component there either when it comes to Nintendo. Then they followed that up with a mature 17 plus and came up with Turok Dinosaur Hunter. I was like, really? Turok? You're worried about this being a mature title now? Like, it's 20 years old. I'm not too concerned about it. But then followed up with Perfect Dark, which has online multiplayer as well, and it all dropped today. So if you're in the online component of Nintendo, then here you go. But for me, I was like, all right, that's cool for somebody, not for me. Make sense?
Oh, it makes a lot of sense. The Perfect Dark having online reminds me of the situation with GoldenEye having online, and that I don't have that option on Xbox. But
dude, it just made me think of the Xbox Showcase though, and think of Perfect Dark and what they had to show there. I thought, wow, that's really what I'd rather be playing. But I do appreciate Nintendo digging deep into their pockets to pull out some of their old classics and bringing us this. If you're in the online,
that is what
component.
they do best.
Yeah, well, yes, they certainly do. Scott, let's get into the last one. They ended off with one more thing: Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, and the date 2025. Why? Because it's Switch 2 is why. That's why, Scott. The minute it said 2025, I'm like, and I'm watching the trailer going, this doesn't look like a Switch game.
No.
But it didn't look great either. Like, I'm sorry. Dude, the detail here in Samus I thought could have been better. This is maybe a little bit nitpicky, I guess. At the same time, I go, have you seen the stuff we played today? Like, dude, Unreal Engine 5 has stepped up stuff huge. Now, I know you're going to be all over me in the comments, and that's fine. But Metroid Prime 4 I thought looked good, but I thought it could have looked better, if that makes sense. Like, you saw the trailer too. What did you think?
I think it looks great for Nintendo, but I hear what you're saying, because we're not going to see that Stellar Blade kind of motion, that fluidity, that kind of HD. I don't think that's going to be in Nintendo's future, likely ever. But when I look at this, I was looking into the background to see what kind of things are running all at once. You're seeing different allies firing at some of the space pirates there. There's a lot of motion as you're moving through different areas, and it kind of seemed like a lot of what was happening in the back end, which to me looks like it's going to require a lot more RAM than Nintendo Switch currently has. But my theory is that this is a split release, and we'll get two substantially different versions of the game. One that will absolutely push you to the Switch too. That's
Yeah.
just my guess. I have no insider knowledge on that.
No, I think that makes sense, right? I don't think they want to lose out on the current Switch install base. I think that's the biggest thing, right? So they'll keep that and allow people to get in there, but then look for that push now to get into Switch 2. How do you do that? You bring a new Mario game, or you bring a new Zelda game, or you bring Metroid Prime 4 as the other kind of push. We'll see what happens.
I think that's going to be the one. And it was Zelda Breath of the Wild that had led us into the Wii U generation. So
yeah,
that didn't work out necessarily in the case of the Wii U, but I have a lot more. As long as they don't call this thing the Switch U, I have a lot more faith.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But yeah, that was our quick wrap up on it. There's a lot more to see. There's about 40 minutes and like 30 games that they kind of talked about throughout the showcase. So yeah, if you want to check out the full thing, head over there, check it out. Otherwise, stick around. It's itgtv.com.